I had a fluffy end.
You got a fluffy end?
Not on the camera.
That's Gertie's big hairy muff.
Wow, isn't it?
Yeah. Who's to stop the wind noise in theory. I've noticed all the paths are going around and none of them are going up.
Yeah, I think we're lost already.
Oh. Hello there. Welcome to another Rudolph's Mountains adventure. And for you, it's been 2 weeks since the last episode. For me, it's been 7 weeks since I was last in the hills. The mountain weather forecast in July and into August, and we're almost in September now. It's been absolutely rubbish. And so, it's a bit of a grey day today. But looking at the forecast, the hills we're on today are the only ones supposed to be clear of the cloud. That's by no means guaranteed. So it's about 3 o'clock-ish, I think, in the afternoon now. Myself and Paul heading out for a little afternoon adventure where we're going to try and pick up 3 Nuttalls that would normally be done as a much longer walk. But today we're just after a quick few hours out before heading back for tea. Wow, that was a steep climb up. We're about 2/3 of the way up our first Nuttall of the day, which is the Berwyns version of Foel Goch. And it's quite mild. Few spits and spots of rain in the air, but not raining properly, which is great so far. We're not in the cloud, which is great. Let's see how we get on. The first section of the walk there is so steep. It's eased off a little now though. Whew. Lost the path then for a minute. Had to go across some rough, heathery ground to try and pick it up again. And this is about as good a path as you get in the Berwyns. Right, this is the top of Foel Goch. There's a bit of drizzle in here. There's the little cairn down there, which is always nice to see, so you know that you're in the right place. We just follow this ridge along now to pick up another couple of Nuttalls. We're just under the cloud, which is fabulous. We've been looking around and we just can't work out where's where. We might have a little look at the map and at least that'll give us a clue as to what we're looking at. It is beautiful though. Rolling hills, the Berwyns, rather than anything too dramatic. Right, goodbye to Foel Goch. Thank you to Daisy there for giving us a quick tour of the summit. Even though it's a bit damp, and Daisy is not a big fan of dampness, so it's thanks to her that we've had a little tour of the summit. God, I'm waffling now, and jeez. Right then, we've got to drop down about 50 metres or so before we pick up our second Nuttal, which I've just been practicing trying to say, and I think I've already forgotten what it's called, so I'll try that again in a minute. Right, on to Nuttal number 2. Oh my goodness, that was a big hole. Right, I've been practicing the name again. Second Nuttal of today is Trum Y Gwargedd. I wonder what it actually should sound like for a proper Welsh person to say. Trum Y Gwargedd. Anyway, it's a slightly better path between these two than we found on the way up, but it's still one you've got to have your wits about you. Lots of slippery bits and lots of holes, but it's actually a very pleasant stroll between the tops. Views are beautiful. Many bees and flies with dangly legs about. I'm not a big fan of flies with dangly legs, they freak me out a little bit. Right, this is the top of Trum Y Gwargedd, or something a bit like that, and it's a nice top. Sadly, it's the wrong side of a barbed wire fence, which is a bit of a pain to get over. Paul's decided not to bother. He's not going to risk his plumage, but it's lovely. Anyway, one more to do today, which you can see on the horizon over there. The weather's pretty ropey all around us, but it's not bad where we are, so we're definitely on the right tops. I just hope it stays away, because it's quite possible that rain will come this way. Anyway, let's get back over the barbed wire fence and start making our way up to the final top of the day, which I've no idea what the name is. Paul, do you know what the name is? Oh, he's going to look it up for us. Foel Y Geifr. Oh, that sounds right. Foel Y Geifr. That sounded a bit scoused, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
More like Foel Y Geifr.
Foel Y Geifr.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, onwards. Oh, barbed wire fence again. Let's see if the wurzels survive the ascent of the fence. Right, the rain is coming in, so I've got my waterproofs on. Depending on how heavy it is, I might need to put all the camera gear away. We shall see. I'll update you a bit later. Right, the worst of that rain has passed. Still a little bit of drizzle in the air. been nice. It's been a bit boggy coming over, but we're starting the ascent of Foel Y Geifr now, and it's not too bad. It's not an awful lot of climbing to do till we reach the top, and there's a trig point on that one, which will be good. Just hopefully this rain will stay off. It's been a good afternoon. Apart from the flies with dangly legs, they you know, it's amazing how fast you can walk when you're being chased by dangly legged flies. All of a sudden you discover a pace you didn't know you had. If you're wondering where we are today, well, you know we're in the Berwyns, but these three mountains are off the Hirnant Pass, which runs from Bala down to Lake Vyrnwy. And roughly halfway along there's a few places you can leave the car, and then these mountains are accessible from there. You're already at about 350 metres, I think, so takes some of the suffering out of the climb. And these are probably the best of the less exciting Berwyns. Across the other side of the Hirnant Pass, and the way in the Nuttalls book you continue this walk is to do another 5 peaks, but they're all heather-bound lumps that make it a real challenge and not very exciting. So yeah, one to save for another day. Anyway, near at the top. Wow. This is the top of Foel Y Geifr. It's probably the nicest of all three. Stunning. Oof. Right, time for a quick break before we try and find a way down. Right, goodbye to Foel Y Geifr. The path down, there isn't much of a path down. I've plotted some animal tracks on using the satellite view.
Big poo.
There are some very large turds, so we're a bit worried about bison or rhinos living up here. I haven't seen any bison or rhinos as yet. I think we did see a big bird before though, which may have been a kite, maybe?
Yes.
Maybe.
Headless.
Anyway, let's see if we can find this route I've plotted. I've probably got off it already, but one can try. The plan is to head down to the road and then march down the road for the back to the car, which won't be particularly exciting, but it is what it is. Right then, downwards. Things aren't going quite according to plan. Turns out the little bit of ground that I wanted to nip across to pick up the path that I've plotted on the way down is a well, waist deep heathering parts, but so far we haven't disappeared down a hole completely, so we can't see our way out. Paul's brought his mountaineering rope with him just in case, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really.
Really.
We could tie shoelaces together.
I think you ran it, be better.
And he could, yeah. Oh my god. Anyway, we've only got to go across this little bit of deep heathery boggy bit for another mile and we'll pick up the path again.
What?
This is not actually a mile, it just feels that way. Holy cheese. Oh, you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Right after our spot of heather bashing, we found the quad bike track that I'd plotted for our route down, and it's the going is now much better. Praise be. And the road isn't too far away, and so really this adventure is nearing its conclusion. Right, back of the road. Yeah, we could park here, couldn't we? For when we do the other 5 on the other side of the road we're not doing today. Just a mile or 2 back down the road to the car. And the rain's back. Boo! Right, we're nearly back at the car. Summer of 2023 has returned and it's been drizzling most of the way back down the road. But to be fair, we can't complain because we've had quite a good day weather-wise. I think we're probably the only people in the mountains that have had a good day today because all around us seem to be cloudy and wet, so we've done very well. Have you enjoyed yourself?
Yes, very much so.
Very good.
Yeah.
Right, well if you're still watching this, I don't know why you are, but thanks for joining us. Anyway, back to the car. See you on the next one.